Okay, now it's coming time to writing our finishing touches. We've written our body paragraphs, and we remember that each body paragraph, we need a good transition word to transition in between reasons. And each body paragraph is a reason for why your persuasive article should happen, why your thesis should happen. Now we're into conclusions, and again, we're on SlideShare. If you haven't used SlideShare before, go ahead and try it. These are done by people that have needed it before, and they share their PowerPoints. So now we're going to work on conclusions. So the next um, section of this, you're going to have open your graphic organizer. So please go do that, and the entire time we're thinking about how this conclusion, how we can use some stuff for our own persuasive argument. Okay, go get that done, and come back. All right, persuasive conclusions. What's the purpose? Why are we doing it? Clearly connect the introduction and the body of the paper. It gives a sense of completion, does more than restate your argument and position, and it gives the reader something to think about. Okay, it is the final send-off. It's the final thought that is put into their heads. Here are some strategies that you can use, and these are all highlighted in your graphic organizer. If you look at your graphic organizer down at the bottom, you have your body paragraphs that we've done, and then you have your conclusion. You have your 3 sections, and those 3 sections are the same exact as these. There's a call to action. The writer implores the audience to make a change. You're asking them to do something. Offer a solution. The writer suggests some possibilities to resolve the problem, and then make a prediction. Similar to a startling statement, this can be a warning or an encouragement. So if we don't make a change, this will happen. If bullying doesn't stop, kids are continually going to feel bad about themselves. That's what that prediction is going to be. Okay, next slide. Now we're going to talk about and see some examples of effective and ineffective conclusions. So this is one that would be ineffective, does not do its job. I have given you 3 truthful explanations of why daily homework is an abomination to the high school. This is due to the problems with participants in after-school events, the time we spend with our families, and our jobs. Thank you for allowing me to express my feelings. Doesn't give them anything to think about, doesn't leave them wanting to go do something. All this writer did was restate the problem and restate their reasonings. A very ineffective and, if you ask me, boring way of writing a final send-off. Moving on. Now we're going to talk about ways in which you could write a conclusion for a call to action. Pay attention to these and take little notes, look at your section, because you are going to, when you come into class, you're going to attempt all 3 of these conclusions to see which one would best suit your persuasive argument. Okay, so while we're doing this, take little notes, use your graphic organizer, and write down some ideas that you might have. So after I finish the call to action, push pause and then go and write some ideas down for yourself. In a call to action, you include a final appeal to reinforce your argument. You clearly and forcefully state your desired action, what you really want to happen, and then give information needed to take that recommended action. Here's an example. Daily mandatory homework for high school students would serve no real worthwhile purpose, but to unnecessarily stress out students and teachers alike. Teachers and students are busy, stressed, preoccupied, and quite frankly, strung out enough as it is without this. Please, I urge you to put this in effect, not simply because I don't want homework for all 7 classes every day, but because it would truly be detrimental to everyone actively participating in the public school now and in the future. That's a call to action. They know what your stance is because they read your introduction and they know your reasonings. Now they're calling them and saying, right here, please, I urge you This is their call to action. So right now, push pause and go write down some ideas in your section on your graphic organizer. Make the audience think about what they need to do to make a change. Their call to action. Okay? Go on. Go and write some ideas down that you could write. Now we're going to the next section, is the solution. Okay? You restate the problem. Define and develop the solution. Focus on the strengths of the solution. This strategy differs from a call to action because it's more of a recommendation and it stresses the solution. Here's an example. According to high schools with the highest test scores across the country, homework is only necessary when an individual student doesn't understand a concept or needs additional practice. Therefore, mandatory homework in every class would be meaningless. Instead, teachers should assign homework on an individual basis. This solution would provide students with needed practice without needless busy work for students and endless grading for teachers. When students work on just their own weaknesses rather than work assigned to the whole class, they will quickly see improvement and will be more motivated to stay in school. Now right here, this is where they offer a solution and they say instead teachers should do this. And then they provide background or reasoning for this solution and how it would benefit the reader. Okay? Push pause and go think about ways that you could do this. Again, we're going to be writing these in class, so be prepared and understand these. And then finally, make a prediction. Takes the argument a step further than a summary. Keeps the reader thinking after reading your essay. Is based on the main points, which is the arguments, creating joy, hope, gloom, suspense, etc. And draws the reader's attention to the significance of the argument. Here's an example. Imagine an empty classroom. As students trickle in without a word, they immediately take out a piece of paper and pencil to start writing down today's homework assignment. The teacher walks to the front of the class to admire her focused students as they work silently. Ring, the class is in session. We can make this long for dream a reality. Our school's motto has always been, be the best you can be, and if the required homework proposal is implemented, we really would be. Okay, so there is an example of a prediction of what could happen if something occurs. Okay? Conclusion strategies. Now, return to your baseline paper, startling school 2 hours later. Consider conclusion strategies that you've learned, and then turn in the original copy and the revision. Now, we're going to forget about all this. Not necessarily all this, but we're going to remember that the strategies that we use, those strategies are what we really need to focus on. Be ready to talk about what you learned in class.